So Paddy the Baddy just got beat. Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And he ends up getting beat.
Gaethje, Paddy, what do you think it looks like?
Oh, man. More skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks. And when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there. But Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
I don't think that's true, dude. He's actually changed his style so much, and his stats are kind of misleading. Like, if you look at his significant strike numbers, dude, it kind of like Max Holloway. Like, you can't statistically prove that Max Holloway's defense has improved or whatever it is, or that he's more technical, but you can see it when you rewatch his recent fights. Justin Gaethje's the same, dude. Like, his defense used to be fucking abysmal. He would just walk through you. But now he actually has shown improvements in his defense. He was making Dustin Poirier miss a lot in their fight, really frustrated him with his footwork, with his head movement, had some good moments against Max Holloway, dropped him for the first time. He sharpened up his technique. He has a really nice jab. Like I said, his defense is a very underrated part of his game. He has good footwork. He feints. He mixes things up between the body and the head. I think that'll work well against Paddy Pimblett, who's super focused on, I need to have my hands up, I need to do this, or his hands are down really low. They're both open, depending on the feints and the setups that you use to capitalize really, really effectively on Paddy Pimblett in the striking. We've seen it.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, you know, it is what it is. But another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use to keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looked so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's a much better striker out of it too. We've seen him go 5 rounds. We saw him go 5 rounds against Holloway. I know that he got knocked out in the last second of that fight, and you know, it did kind of suck for that. I actually think I picked Holloway to beat him, though. I can't actually remember. But anyway, it did kind of suck for Gaethje for that to have happened. But, you know, it did kind of create a viral moment that people are still trying to recreate to this day.
Buckle up, because Paddy Pimblett is walking straight into what might just be the most career-defining moment he's ever faced. Standing opposite him, Justin Gaethje, a fighter who seems engineered specifically to create absolute mayhem every time he steps foot in that cage.
You know, for other guys. But I know Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje is a very competitive fight. It's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm not saying other fights not going to be exciting, you know, but at the end of the day, we know Paddy and Justin Gaethje is going to be a complete firework. There's no way in hell this fight will go 5 rounds. There's no way, you know.
Are you surprised that Justin opened as like a plus 200 underdog? I think it's already starting to flip a little bit.
It's no problem. He was underdog was Tony Ferguson too. What happened? You know, he was underdog was Dustin Poirier second time. What happened? You know, it's okay. You can doubt Justin. But I'm going to tell you something. If Justin fights in Chelsea, he's going to make it sleep. I respect Pimblett. I think he's very underrated. I think a lot of people talk shit about him. But I was like, the guy never lost in the UFC. How are you going to talk shit about him? But I think if Justin Gaethje, touch his chin, he's going to make him go to sleep. But vice versa too. He have very good grappling. It's a very intriguing match.
Here's what makes this whole thing so captivating. These two couldn't fight more differently if they tried, and their recent paths have been heading in totally opposite directions. Fans everywhere are completely split on how this plays out. This isn't about popularity contests or follower counts anymore. This is Paddy facing the ultimate proving ground, where only survival and demonstrating his true grit actually count.
Paddy the Baddy, as a matter of fact, got submitted. Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So there's something that goes on in England. This is Paddy's gym. Paddy enters this thing every year. It's called something. And then they have a king of the mat. It's a grappling tournament, but they have this thing, this king of the mat. Paddy was in the finals a year ago, and after an hour, they just stopped the match and called it a draw. So he was a co-champion. So whatever this thing is, it's a thing that matters to him. So he enters it, I guess, over the weekend. I guess. And
The MMA world is going absolutely wild, with predictions ahead of this massive showdown. Let's start with Chael Sonnen, who dropped some seriously deep insight. His take wasn't simply about Paddy dropping that recent grappling match. Chael dug way deeper, suggesting this loss actually exposed something fundamental about Paddy's mental makeup as he gears up to face a destroyer like Gaethje.
now, one of the reasons it's so cool is I don't think you have heard about it. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is there's no other sport where this would happen. One of the reasons I think it's so cool is it doesn't matter. And that's one cool thing about our community. Like, if a guy like Paddy wants to go out there and take a risk and do something like this, he can chalk that up to a tremendous victory. He can also chalk that up to a workout. And you know what? We need to keep it that way. It's one thing that we have done very well as a group, and there's no others.
What really caught Sonnen's attention was how Paddy, right in the thick of what had to be brutal fight preparation, still decided to jump into a local grappling competition at his own gym. Picture this scenario. A hometown event that obviously meant something personal to him. Chael zeroed in on how, despite enormous pressure and injury risks, Paddy showed up anyway, gave everything he had, and accepted whatever happened next. He didn't back down from potential failure. According to Chael, Paddy the Baddy just took a loss, but there's something powerful about that resilience.
That LeBron drops in for a one-on-one with the college star. He just couldn't take the risk. He just simply could not take the risk. This happened when I was a kid. It was to John McEnroe in Oregon. This was before the internet was a thing, but John McEnroe came out and he played somebody. We had some high school star down in, it was down in Eastern Oregon. I want to say maybe Pendleton. At any rate, the guy beat him. Our high school star beat McEnroe, and this was a thing. This was a thing. But it's one of these reasons why you can't ever get that. Like, you are left to believe that the NBA is better than the NCAA. You're led to believe the NFL is better than college football. I'm sure you're right, but there's exceptions, and there's certain positions at certain times where there are exceptions. You will never know.
Building on that breakdown, Chael brilliantly tied this exact mentality to the upcoming war with Gaethje. His perspective was that real fighters, especially ones with Paddy's relentless spirit, don't operate by safeguarding their public image like we see with athletes in other major sports. These gladiators voluntarily walk into brutally difficult situations even when nothing concrete is at stake. No belt, no huge payday, just pure pride driving them forward. Chael emphasized why this mindset isn't just impressive, but absolutely essential when preparing to battle a natural disaster like Gaethje. Justin doesn't just handle pressure, he devours it and transforms it into rocket fuel. As Chael put it bluntly, you cannot effectively confront a relentless pressure cooker like Gaethje if you're carrying even the smallest fear of losing. That fear becomes a weapon against you.
Rumors have been swirling that Justin Gaethje is injured. A few videos have surfaced of him diving and cracking heads with someone, which wobbled him bad. Do you have any inside information? Have you not heard of this? Okay, actually, I got to be honest. I thought you guys were talking about. I thought he was going to ask about. I saw a bunch of pictures about this thing.
Up, though, right?
Yeah. The ingrown hair is what he's claiming.
Okay. Right.
Ingrown hair and a bit of brisket. Yeah.
Brisket?
Yeah, a little brisket on the chin.
Because they said he had herpes on his mouth. He's like, I was eating brisket and I had an ingrown hair.
If that is an ingrown hair, that's the gnarliest ingrown hair I've ever seen. That makes like a little red dot on your neck if it's an ingrown hair. He had a crater in his neck. I don't know about
By the way, could you imagine just for a moment. You know where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
I do know
exactly where you're
with
going.
this.
Enter Armin.
Yes.
Enter Armin.
Yes, it's time. Now, is Armin ready is the thing.
Chael, always ready to challenge conventional wisdom, strongly rejected the common belief that taking a loss outside official competition, especially in grappling, somehow indicates weakness. He clarified that this type of competition doesn't impact an official MMA record, so there's no traditional damage. What it does reveal, though, is genuine hunger, an internal drive to compete and evolve regardless of immediate rewards. In Sonen's analysis, Paddy's mature response to that grappling defeat, treating it as valuable work and learning rather than hiding from embarrassment, demonstrated something vital. It proved he's the type of fighter with unwavering mental strength and raw determination to march straight ahead into battle against someone as intimidating as Gaethje, rather than freezing under massive pressure, or worse, trying to play things conservatively. This goes beyond physical durability into the mental chess match that begins long before any contact occurs.
If it even happens. And now we've got Gaethje fighting Pimblett for the vacant title. And I know I've just picked favorites the entire card. And I know that is kind of probably not all that exciting for you guys. I am picking Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett in this fight. I've been proven wrong by Paddy Pimblett so many times. Over and over and over and over again. If you guys remember, I picked Tony Ferguson to beat Paddy Pimblett in that fight, and I will be honest with you guys, there was a moment there in that third round where it looked like maybe Ferguson was going to get something going because Pimblett did gas out pretty bad in that fight, but that is just cope on my end. And then even then, I picked Michael Chandler to beat him too. Have I ever been more wrong about a fight? Probably not, to be honest with you, but he looked really, really good. The problem with me and Paddy Pimblett, dude, is there's two things that he's just never fixed. His cardio and his striking defense. He still keeps his chin way up in the air. I know that's why people love him. I know people love Paddy Pimblett because of that. The problem is, though, I just don't like seeing that and then trying to justify picking him to beat Justin Gaethje, who just beat Rafael Fiziev a couple of times in the last few years. Now, I know that
Artem didn't stop. Let's shift to something that absolutely hijacked the fight news conversation recently. Ariel Helwani directly confronted the Justin Gaethje injury speculation that's been swirling around. Ariel emphasized how the questionable videos and images making rounds online had the entire MMA community talking, mainly because the timing seemed incredibly suspicious, almost calculated. Consider the situation. Right when fight promotion should be running smoothly, without any complications, suddenly doubt starts creeping in. Helwani stressed that this uncertainty alone has the potential to dramatically change how fans view the entire matchup with Paddy.
Fiziev was short notice in this one, coming off an injury, and he, it is what it is, but another thing about Gaethje I want to bring up too is recently in his career, he's kind of just sort of started to wrestle a little bit more. This no wrestling thing that he did have going on for a long time, he's kind of abandoned it, which I think is good. I know that Paddy Pimblett's grappling is really elite, and if Gaethje tries to take him down, it probably would be a mistake, but that tells me the wrestling is something that he's still got in his back pocket, something that he can use to keep the fight on the feet, keep the fight standing. And I think that when the fight is standing, yes, Pimblett looks so good against Chandler. I think Chandler just sucks, I'll be honest. I think I was wrong about Chandler. I think that's also part of it too. I think Gaethje goes out there and beats Paddy Pimblett, man. I think he's...
Shifting, he really dove into how genuinely confusing and troubling the whole situation actually was. Ariel carefully focused on how legitimately concerning the images appeared, explaining why fans weren't overreacting by questioning what they meant or if they were even real. The main problem, he suggested, wasn't simply what Justin or his team claimed about the injury, but how visually alarming it looked and how rapidly those images exploded across social platforms. That level of uncertainty, Helwani argued, looms over a major fight like storm clouds, completely changing the entire atmosphere heading into what should be an electrifying fight week.
To me, it's really important to just look at these two stylistically. Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler, bro. Like, Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler. Justin Gaethje's a better striker. He has good takedown defense, and he has great power. That is my theory here, right? Because when you look at the way that these guys fight, Paddy Pimblett fights a lot behind kicks, dude. He's throwing oblique kicks, calf kicks, head kicks, body kicks, jumping, kind of, switching up in the air, throwing those kicks. He has improved his boxing. That was a big weakness in the Jared Gordon.
Continue. Moving on, Artem Lobov brought his trademark honesty to the discussion, starting by acknowledging something important. He's underestimated Paddy Pimblett before and frankly paid for those wrong predictions. But even with that track record haunting him, Artem admitted he couldn't shake the same persistent concerns he keeps noticing in Paddy's fights. For Lobov, Paddy's performances repeatedly show these troubling moments where his conditioning clearly drops, creating dangerous windows of opportunity. That becomes extremely risky when facing someone who maintains absolutely relentless momentum, like Gaethje. The biggest red flag Artem highlighted was Paddy's defensive vulnerabilities. He identified a serious problem, where Paddy consistently keeps his chin elevated, basically giving opponents regular chances to land devastating clean connections. That aggressive, high-risk approach might work against fighters who hesitate or tire out later in fights. But here's the reality check. Gaethje fundamentally never slows down and rarely misses when opportunities present themselves. Artem made it clear that while it's fun to appreciate Paddy's wild, unpredictable approach, that's completely different from actually trusting it to survive against a proven elite striker of Gaethje's level. He also explored a crucial element of this matchup, Justin's significant development as a complete fighter over recent years. Lobov noted that Justin is no longer just the stubborn brawler, completely committed to standing and trading punches, a reputation he once embraced. What's really important here is that even if Justin has zero interest in actively pursuing grappling exchanges with Paddy, the mere possibility of his elite wrestling background and takedown skills always lurks beneath the surface. That threat, that constant possibility of level changes, serves as an incredibly effective strategic tool. It helps Justin control exactly where the action happens, setting the rules of engagement. Artem believed that keeping things standing, maintaining that striking battle, is absolutely crucial for Justin's success in this fight. Thanks to his considerable evolution as a mixed martial artist, Justin now has an expanded toolkit of sophisticated methods to make that happen, keeping the fight exactly where he wants it. The breakdown from Verdict MMA added another essential angle, detailing how Paddy Pimblett, despite his grappling credentials, isn't really a traditional wrestling specialist who consistently hunts for clean takedowns. Instead, Paddy's method is much more unconventional, depending on raw chaos, strategic kicking, and an unusual ability to transform any scrambling situation into unpredictable ground exchanges. Here's the key insight against a proven technician like Gaethje: that scramble-dependent, opportunistic strategy becomes extremely risky. Justin's takedown defense isn't just solid, it's famously elite and fundamentally sound, easily capable of shutting down any sloppy or poorly timed attempts, keeping the fight exactly where he prefers it, on the feet in his striking territory. This means Paddy won't find those easy entries he might discover against weaker competition, forcing him into prolonged striking exchanges. Expanding the detailed analysis, Verdict MMA further explained why Gaethje presents such a formidable challenge, emphasizing that Justin is definitely no longer the wild brawler he might have been seen as previously. They strongly challenged the outdated notion that Justin is simply a reckless headhunter, describing instead how he now uses sophisticated feints, precise movement, and disciplined defense to systematically make opponents whiff on their attacks. Why does this matter so much against Paddy? Because, as we've witnessed, Paddy still gets caught clean more frequently than elite fighters should, and throughout a grueling fight, those clean, building shots can definitely accumulate and cause serious damage. When Verdict MMA carefully outlined the potential victory paths for both men, their preference became obvious. Paddy's best shot at winning involves creating early mayhem, landing something significant to damage Justin, then quickly capitalizing on that moment for a rapid submission finish. But they warned that if that specific sequence doesn't happen quickly, the fight will almost definitely remain standing, where Justin holds clear advantages. In that likely scenario, Verdict MMA expects Gaethje will systematically and possibly brutally break Paddy down, likely earning a finish in the middle rounds. Despite openly wanting Paddy to succeed, they reluctantly favor Justin securing a TKO victory. Looking at another viewpoint, the analysis from Din emphasized Paddy's undeniably clever fighting approach and genuinely strong, well-rounded abilities. He specifically highlighted Paddy's impressive willingness to work effectively from his back when taken down, showing real danger there, plus his excellent use of range with damaging kicks. Din believes Paddy has demonstrated significant growth in the competitive lightweight division, showing real intelligence in how he constructs his offensive sequences, making him a legitimate threat, particularly if he can successfully weather Justin's notoriously devastating early assault. But Din also acknowledged, with brutal honesty, that Justin brings an almost unprecedented level of violence and pure power to every single encounter. While recognizing Paddy's abilities, he suggested that Justin's explosive striking might simply overwhelm him. Din feels that although Paddy's previous fights prove he can excel against specific opponents, Gaethje operates on an entirely different championship level. He strongly believes that while Paddy definitely has the skills to win, Justin's extensive experience combined with his suffocating pressure will make it extremely challenging for Paddy to establish control. Then we got Mike Bones' perspective, who viewed this fight as not just likely to be action-packed, but virtually guaranteed to be an absolute war from opening bell to finish. He leaned toward Gaethje winning by constantly pushing forward, unleashing waves of strikes and using his legendary fight-ending leg kicks to gradually break Paddy down and seriously compromise his mobility. However, Mike also smartly noted that Paddy's naturally risky, unpredictable approach creates an atmosphere of complete chaos that could literally flip the fight in his direction at any moment. That chaos becomes especially dangerous, a real game changer, if the action somehow transitions to the ground, even temporarily. Why? Because Paddy's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and his incredible scrambling talents are arguably his greatest weapons, and if Justin finds himself in that vulnerable spot, Paddy has the special ability to completely perfuse the entire fight instantly by discovering advantageous positions when least expected. Mike Bones wrapped up his breakdown by emphasizing the vital importance of Paddy's training preparation. He strongly stressed that Paddy absolutely cannot treat this like any ordinary camp. Justin's relentless, smothering pressure operates on a different level, and Paddy must simulate and experience that punishing intensity during preparation long before fight night arrives. If he waits to adjust to that level of chaos inside the octagon, Mike warns it could be too late. But if Paddy prepares exactly right, conditioning himself for that high-energy environment, he can put Justin in uncomfortable positions and really make the fight shift dramatically in his favor. Finally, the vocal manager Ali Abdelaziz called this a genuine Pickum fight, precisely because both Paddy and Justin are aggressive, forward-moving fighters. He predicts the instant that bell sounds, they'll literally collide in the center of the octagon, and the intensity will be absolutely insane from the opening second. Ali stated definitively that he sees zero possibility of this fight lasting the full 5 rounds. He also addressed Justin currently being listed as the betting underdog. Ali calmly pointed out that Justin has faced doubt repeatedly before, and consistently delivered massive performances in the most difficult fights possible, which is why he remains totally unbothered by the odds. He summarized the essential dynamic: if Justin connects clean, Paddy is going down hard. But on the flip side, if the fight somehow reaches the mat, Paddy can completely dominate with his world-class grappling. Everything points to this fight being lightning fast, brutally intense, and very likely ending decisively before the final bell sounds. Now it's time for you to weigh in. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us who you're picking in this incredible battle. Are you backing Justin's unmatched experience and devastating power, or are you believing in Paddy's technical skills and his undeniably intelligent approach to pull off the surprise victory?